Well, that went well. Hello and welcome back to yet another not live episode of the Bring My Podcast brought to you by Argyle Life. I can't remember my intro, something about 2015 and the last time we recorded in person, which went really well. Three wise men and a donkey joining me, something like that.
Aaron, I don't think anyone actually heard any of this, so
No.
you're probably going to have to.
You can actually do the intro again.
It was a really good intro.
It was a very good intro.
I think
It was
the
the
viewers
best
liked
intro
it.
you've ever done.
Anyway, it doesn't matter because that's in the past. And what also is in the past is a 3-3 draw with Middlesbrough. So we've drawn with 3-3 with Middlesbrough before, haven't we, Sam?
We have. We drew 3-3 at home to Middlesbrough last season.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the year started then with a 3-3 draw at home park.
Indeed.
And indeed, for the second year in a row, the final game before Christmas was a 3-3 draw.
Yeah.
Is anyone getting any deja vu as I say this?
No.
Not any of the listeners, because they didn't hear it. But these guys might have done. So, yeah, that was what happened.
There was a good joke. I will repeat that one. Come a long way since initially recording in person in 2015. 1.2 miles, in fact, you can laugh.
That only worked because you specified that it was at the Stoke Bar and Grill last time.
Yeah, brilliant.
And where are we now?
At Plymouth Cricket Club, who have kindly given us their excellent facilities to talk about a game in which involved 6 goals. There's a cricket pun somewhere. Is that right? That cricket?
Yeah.
That'll do. Okay. Well, Joe will talk to you more about cricket in a bit. Adam Price, how's things?
Yeah, hello. Still feeling just festival was 15 minutes ago. So, that joke you said earlier about being used to see us all in boxes, it looked like we were about to go that way again. But here we are. So it's lovely to see you once more.
John Allsop, how's things?
Hello. Thank you.
Joe Bell.
My son's shirt is still festive, so yeah, we did fun, thank you. I'm glad I left a little bit earlier than you lot did last night on your pre-Christmas drink, so I'm feeling a little bit better than the person to my right.
Oh, yeah, well, I think I did say when the recording light goes live, I'd be okay, and I was. It's just a shame that the recording itself was not. But I'm doing okay. I'm brightening up a little, I think.
Okay, so why don't you brighten up this recording as well? Give us a traditional run through.
Just don't mute yourself before you do that.
Very smooth transition there, Aaron. Okay, so as I was saying before, it all went wrong earlier. It was another very, very good performance. That's 2 in a row now. I think since Mike Phelan has got lads on the training ground, you're starting to see the fruits of that. That's 2 games against 2 of the best teams in the league that we should have come away from with at least 4 points, if not 6. We only came away from them with 1, which is bitterly disappointing. But what's not disappointing is how well we played. Again, I think that was possibly the Middlesbrough game was maybe an even better game than the Sheffield United in terms of performance, and that's probably on a par, if not better, than Blackburn for the best played under the Wayne Rooney era. Full stop. And I think it probably slightly would actually even outshade the Blackburn game if you had to push one way or the other. First 10 minutes we weren't great. They had us a little bit boxed in. They realised quite as Sheffield United in the second half that pressing out of Randall was a way to stop us playing out. But we then did respond to that. Randall managed to find a few more pockets of space because we started to use the wide areas a lot more. Mumba, Galloway overlapped fantastically, which I think maybe stretched the play a little bit. It gave us more output, gave us a bit more opportunity. Obviously, sorry, why are you grinning at me like that? Like innately.
I'm just really happy.
Okay, I'm glad someone is. So obviously we did then go 1-0 up in a nicely worked goal, and I think it was pretty much what we deserved at that point in the game. The pressure had been building. Really could have gone 2 up just before half time with Ryan Hardy, but a lot of people were crying out for him to shoot. Actually did the right thing and nicely laid the ball out to Mustafa Bundu, bearing down on goal from an angle, and he unfortunately just didn't quite manage to find the net. Came out at the start of the second half, and we were maybe a little bit ropey the first few minutes of the half. They had a couple of corners, couple of chances. We don't defend the corner for their goal brilliantly. I'll try not to go into granular detail on all 6 goals because there are 6 of them. There's normally only 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever.
Apart from all the times when there's 6, which you ran us through at the beginning of this recording.
That's true. But yeah, I think Randall gets turned a little bit as the cross comes in. Galloway, unfortunately, again, is at the centre of a moment after another couple in the last couple of games. We've tried to clear the ball. In fairness, it isn't really his fault. It falls very unfortunately for them had to tap it in. We then really wrestle the momentum back again, and it's a fantastic run and cross from Mustafa Bundu, and it's tapped in by Darko JB with his first goal in any senior football, which was quite a long time coming. I think we've all acknowledged, haven't we, the finishing is by far and away the weakest part of this game, but he did manage to find the net with that one. It was a bit of a deja vu again, another set piece that came out and came back in. I think for the second, again, you can maybe say it's a bit of a bad fortune. Dan Grimshaw does make a very good save, and it's one of those where he doesn't really have time to know whether to push it out or push it away. He just has to get something away if it's a reflex save, and it's one of those where it could fall anywhere, and unfortunately, it just falls right to their player. So, again, just a bit of a bounce of the ball just going against us, but you could also probably blame on Better for his sort of slight clumsiness leading up to it. But Better having contributed towards conceding the goal, made a massive contribution towards scoring the third with a lovely cross in for Bundu to finish. And in what I think was absolutely by far and away Mustafa Bundu's best game in an Argyle shirt. I have said that that's clearly going to be a later question, so I will give it more detail.
I like the fact you're not running through every one of the 6 goals, like you said you were going to earlier.
Well, I said I was going to run through them, but not in granular detail, not as much detail as I would. And there's only one more left, Joe, thank you, which is obviously Middlesbrough's third goal, which was the sloppiest of the lot, in truth. Bad corner to give away by Mumba, and absolutely nobody picks up the man as the corner comes in. So, very disappointing goal to concede. Certainly when we were better for most of the game, and I think whilst Middlesbrough had the best of the first 10 minutes, then he had the best of the last 10 minutes as well. They sort of had to bit peg back and stop his time. But that being said, like in 8 minutes, sort of 10 to 80, we were by far and away the better team. And yeah, massive credit for that. Just absolutely should be coming away with 3 points, but positive to take from it without a doubt. But at the same time, it is still 1 win in 12. And we've got to get that win somewhere soon.
Coventry.
I hope so.
We'll get that win in Coventry. Yeah, sounds basically coming off everything there, so that's great. Joe, 2 points dropped. Feels like if you offered me a point before that game, I'd have snapped your hand off for it. Come 90 minutes, feels like 2 points dropped.
Yeah, I think it has to be. When you have the lead 3 times in the game and you come away with a point, it is 2 dropped, isn't it? I think no matter how good the other opponent is, to lead with, what was it, 72 minutes gone and 80 minutes gone, was it? Or 68 minutes and 80 minutes, whatever it was. Particularly when you take the lead after 80 minutes, you'd like to think there's enough experience and clout out there to then see the game out, let alone to concede 2.5 minutes later. I mean, that was just a really bizarre 7 minutes of football, wasn't it? Where, I mean, throughout most of the game, all pretense of defending was abandoned. But in particular, that 7 minutes was just utter chaos. So yeah, 2 points dropped. But you can't get away from the fact, as Sam alluded to in his point, that the last 2 performances have been nothing short of outstanding, frankly. Defending left a lot to be desired yesterday. I think going forward, we look a little bit more refined. I wouldn't say we're by far the finished article, but we definitely look like we've got a bit more of an edge. Now it's time that we look at the defence, because I mean it's just obscene. 45 goals and we're not even at Christmas Eve yet. It's ridiculous, frankly.
It will be 45 goals on Christmas Eve as well.
It might even be 45 on Christmas Day.
Might be, yeah.
But yeah, it's a ridiculous statistic, and that's what we've got to address now, because I think we know that there is quality coming in to the side in January just through Morgan Whitaker and Ibrahim Sissoko. So in an attacking sense, we will have more options up front. but we do need to sort this defence out because it's getting farcical.
John, unchanged lineup.
Yes.
Pretty happy.
Very happy, yeah. And I had someone in my Facebook messages suggesting maybe this was a Phelan effect. Obviously, it's hard to know like what Phelan's actual impact has been without having been in the private conversations he's had with Rooney. But the ultimate outcome has been that we have played a more settled team that seems to be our players playing in the positions they're best suited to. And lo and behold, we've been a lot better. I think it wouldn't strain credulity to me to think that Phelan may just have sat Rooney down and said, okay, earlier in the season you were very successful, or at least for that period of games in between the first and second international breaks. Just go back to it. And yeah, it might not work every week, you might not get results every week, but you're going to play a lot better. Obviously, we discussed the rotation in between times. There is obviously an element of having lots and lots of injuries, including players who are out for a couple of games at a time, which makes it a little bit understandable that we have had to rotate. But yeah, I think we said on a previous pod maybe a couple of weeks ago that it did also feel like he was sort of throwing ideas at the wall. And it's actually kind of ironic. I remember him saying on a podcast earlier in the year, a big criticism of Rooney we felt was that he was tactically inflexible, and in fact actually he's been doing a tactical Kama Sutra in the last several weeks. It's sort of changing things too much. So I think to go back and have that kind of stability and be able to name an unchanged team, albeit Obafemi came off with about 3 or 4 minutes on the clock, so it effectively Isaka played the whole game. But yeah, the players felt like they knew what they were doing. It felt like it was a cohesive system. I think going forward we just were really, really excellent. Again, defensively poor, but a lot of those moments have come from set piece defending, which we know is a big weakness. I actually think play we defended pretty well. So yeah, great to see. Obviously, when we get players back in January, is that still going to be the first choice team? Well, I'll tell you what, and maybe we'll come on to this, but I'll just say it now quickly. Morgan Whisker's not getting back in the team ahead of Mustafa Bundu if Bundu continues to play like that. I don't think that was better than, and I'm not one of the people who's on the bashing Whisker bandwagon as we discussed, but I think that was probably better than Whisker's played at all this season.
Elaborate on your point about defence being open play. I mean, that's fine. I don't really recall.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't really recall Dan Grimshaw making too many saves in open play.
I can't think of a save he's made.
No.
It's worthy the name.
No.
Obviously, there was one before their second goal, but that was called.
But yeah, and it is a good save. He's unlucky that literally that could go anywhere. And it just happens to fall into the oncoming Hayden Hackney. So I think, to keep a good team who are pretty free scoring, particularly on the road, we've done well to keep them at bay.
To limit them to 3 goals.
So limit them to 3 goals. And not many of them chances from open play. So, but you know the point.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm going to go to you because that's how the order works.
Nice.
There's 2 players I want to talk about. We've got an awful lot to talk about tonight because we're going to do recap 2024 and get into what needs to happen in January as well. 2 players I want to talk about: Darko Jamie and Mustafa Bundu. Which one do you want?
I will take Jamie, if you don't mind.
So then, what happens to Jamie when we play Middlesbrough? Because as you saw by the celebration, he turns into prime caca.
It does, yeah. Don't say that in Italian, because a very different type of player. Yeah, he's one of those where we've seen him towards the end. I think the best way I can describe it at the minute is that when Darko Jamie plays well, Plymouth Argyle tends to play well. When Darko Jamie plays poorly, it tends to be a poor performance. Now there was a bit of debate in JSV and on the Barking yesterday about exactly how good he was yesterday. I think most of us, maybe the ones on this side of the table, thought we had an excellent game. I'm throwing Aaron into the Sandown mix there. Sorry.
Bundu's definitely my man of the match.
No, well, got that. Nice one. I thought it was magnificent. Fully deserved the goal he had. Could easily have had more. And it's just refreshing. I mean, the system has helped him. Going back to this system with Randall Deep and the 4-3-3 that allows Jamie to have that space ahead of him has always suited him. It's looked like it's always suited him since he first joined, just about a year ago now. So it's great to see him there again. And then obviously getting that first senior goal is huge. But I know the way he was involved as well, the way that he Yeah, I likened it before, and I likened it again to the Jay Matete miracle run against Cheltenham that one time last January, where he got the ability, and Jay just seems to be able to pull that off every now and then and deliver results. So yeah, I really did think he was excellent. I think there's he's not. I mean, put it this way: if he was like that every week, the conversation wouldn't be, does Jamie get into our best team? The conversation would be, oh my god, are these going to recall him in January? So, he's. I think that inconsistency is half the reason why he's here. But if he does keep playing like that every week, I don't think anyone really is going to have any complaints. And yeah, as I say, I thought he was exceptional. I take him, and I didn't think he was my man of the match because, as you said, I thought that comfortably went to London.
I think we're all agreed on that, right?
Yeah. I think we are. I think we very much are. That's testament. I won't speak too much on London because I know someone else is going to have him. I'm just going to say that is exactly the position that he played for his season in Andorra before we signed him, which was the date ultimately that led us to bring him in. So, says a lot about the point that was made earlier about putting square pegs in square holes.
Yeah, two questions then, Sam. One, follow up on Adam's point, why do you hate Duncan Jamie? And two, Mustafa Bundu obviously is definitely his first game for us. Jack Leslie says, just how much will Real Madrid bid for Bundu? James Harper says, is Bundu a better winger than Messi? Up the Argyle says, Bundu or Ronaldinho?
Oh, wow.
By the way, quickly, who was that very random player that Real Madrid signed once upon a time?
Julian Faubert?
Yes, that was it. The Faubert they signed. Bundu.
I was going to go Jonathan Woodgate on touchline yesterday.
Yeah, they all could work. So yeah, on Darko Jamie then. I look on my views on him as a player overall this season are well documented. I don't think he's really a particularly good championship level player. I certainly think there's a player in there without a shadow of a doubt. I think he had moments where it's that little run and shimmy on the ball, and he just manages to find pockets of space and drive into them, where he looks really, really class. He's got a lot about him. My issue with him zooming out into a macro level is there are just too many occasions where he goes through games. He just doesn't, if you look at his actual sheer numbers of passes and sheer numbers of progressive carries compared to Al-Hajj or even Tarandal when they were playing in an equal position, his generally tend to be lower in sheer numbers. That's not to say about the success rate of them, but he just doesn't really show enough. That being said, at Sheffield United, I thought he had a very good game apart from that miss. And I think yesterday he had not such a great game as he had at Sheffield United. I do think there were still some aspects of maybe a little bit of wastefulness in the final third.
Hat-trick.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at, though, is where it is final third wastefulness. But he did still have a decent game. And I think, yes, the system, shall we say, revelation that shot car were actually allowed to use the wide areas of the pitch has given him more room in the middle. And yes, I think the last two performances have given us more cause for encouragement. And even in my most critical time of him, I absolutely still think he's in our best team because the alternatives are Adam Forshaw and Jordan Houghton, who with respect, I think Houghton in this system has played around the role nothing at all. So I think, you're going to have him ahead of Houghton or Forshaw, without a doubt. I suppose the only argument
can play midfield, right? As well.
Yeah, I suppose the only argument could be that although Houghton could only play a deeper role, maybe Randall could play a more advanced role. So you could, in theory, have Houghton deep for Randall more advanced. But I don't. JB is an artist. It is the long and short of what I'm saying. But there are still aspects of this game to do frustrate me. Anyway, I spent about 2 minutes out answering like a tangential question, and so going on to Bundu, I thought he was absolutely outstanding. White Baron, your grin is you've got a grin like a Cheshire cat sat there. It's right in my eyeline.
Oh, very strong.
Something wrong with cat anyway.
Big one.
Yeah, Mustafa Bundu was fantastic yesterday. Again, he's a player who on a wider level. I made my views clear on that. I don't think he's of the level of where we want to be if we're going to move forward in the long term and follow the 5-year plan. I certainly don't think he's I don't think he's so dreadful that he shouldn't even be in the squad. I think there's perhaps only 2 players in this squad that I would say that about borderline free. But I think he certainly hasn't been great overall since he joined us. But you can't deny he's had some amazing moments. That win against Leicester, the winner he got, gave us one of our, I'm going to say, our finest ever night supporting this club. It was an incredible game, incredible evening. The atmosphere was raucous. And I think the last 5 or 6 games, from admittedly quite a low bar, he has stepped up his standard of performance enormously. He was fantastic off the bench against Preston. He was fantastic off the bench against Watford. He was one of the relatively few lights of Norwich away. He's been excellent at Sheffield United. He was good as well, and absolutely exceptional yesterday. And I obviously got the goal against Swansea in that as well. So I think he is now, don't quote me on this, possibly our second top, or maybe even top for goal contributions this season in terms of goals/assists combined, because he's now had a few of each, including the Cheltenham one in the cup. He's now had 4 goals in all competitions, and I think possibly 3 or even 4 assists. I'm not sure, but he's getting to the point. He's putting up regular numbers, which is what you want from an attacking player. So I think his improvement is welcome. Still some areas of his game that he needs to work on. I know John is very fond of remembering the Neil Jusic quote after the Leicester home game, where he was asked about Bundu's performance, and rather than the sort of standard line that you perhaps might expect the manager to give us his praise to the player, he said, "Yeah, he did 9 times out of 10. He'll try that, and it'll end up in the car park or worse to that effect." But
I think what he said was Mustafa is an enigma. I think.
yes, yeah, no, sure. But no, but he's right. But he's right. But he's right.
Yeah.
And he's right, because he can have, again, some moments of real lovely quality about him, Bundu. But again, he just has moments where I don't think we know what he's doing, never mind the opponent. So he's coming on wonderfully. Obviously got an assist and a goal yesterday, and maybe, we'll feel he could have got another goal with that chance at the end of the first half, but that's the only criticism, maybe.
What I think is good as well in terms of what he's adding to his game is the last 2 goals he scored have been quite scruffing. Whereas before, I think every single goal he scored for us was a really, really good finish, right? Sort of a low XG chance. I mean, the last one, he's carried the ball for ages and put it in the bottom corner. The Sheffield Wednesday one is an unbelievable free kick into the top corner last season. Even his one against Stoke, I mean, it's sort of poacher's finish, but it's a really, really nice goal, sort of coming across the defender and kind of angling it into the net. So I think for him to get in the positions where he is scoring more of a kind of tap-in type of goal, 2 in his last 2 home games, I think that is sort of indicative of what Sam's saying about his overall kind of raised performance level, right? You're not just relying on him to have these moments of incredible quality that aren't going to happen probably that often statistically. He's actually getting in the positions to score those higher percentage chances as well.
But how nice was it yesterday in particular to see what you're saying about him getting into positions in the 18-yard box to tap that home? How nice was it? Almost every attack we had at least 2, 3, maybe even 4 bodies getting into the box. I thought our crossing yesterday was superb throughout the whole game, bar set pieces. But in open play, our crossing from the wide areas yesterday was the best it's been potentially across a full game since we've been back in the Championship. I don't think that's outrageous to say.
No, the only other one I think might even come close to it is funny enough, the away game Middlesbrough last season, where Sorinola put in a number of absolutely excellent ones. But yeah, certainly up there.
But the goals in that game didn't come from crosses, though, did they? I don't think.
No, true.
Whereas yesterday it was three excellent crosses, 3 goals.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
more excellent crosses than that, but we scored 3 goals from crosses.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, just going back quickly, Joe, back to Darko JB. First goal, senior goal, anyway, in men's football. Do you think he now goes on a bit of a run? Like you said, could maybe have had a hat-trick yesterday, should have got one at Sheffield United.
Yeah, I mean, we're not, let's be fair, we're not looking at Darko JB in this starting 11 to be a goal scorer. But we are looking at him to get forward in positions where he is in around
goals.
Yeah, where he can create something, isn't it? You don't always want him on the end of something like he was yesterday.
I pretty much never want him on the end of something.
No,
it starts out yesterday. He did one away.
But you want him in and around.
He couldn't have managed to miss that one, though, could he?
He tried.
Very
What I was trying to say is you want him in and around the 18-yard box. So you want him in and around where the business happens, when we're on the end of an attack. And yeah, like as Sam said, Sheffield United yesterday, we've seen a real improvement from him and a number of players in getting into those positions. And hopefully, as long as we can carry that forward, I know we're probably going to come on to it later, but the squad's going to be so stretched so thinly over the next couple of weeks now, after what happened during yesterday's game. We are now going to need Darko Jamie to put in that level of performance every week. The simple thing to him is Rooney, Phelan, Nance, whoever it is, just needs to say to him, look, that's the benchmark for your performances. You can't drop below that, because I thought, unlike Sam, I thought he was very close. He's probably 0.1 of a mark out of 10 off being man of the match yesterday. I thought his all-round game was magnificent yesterday.
I think he was decent. I don't think he was within a point mark of Bundu myself. And the other two players I really have you got anything on the fullbacks? Can I got no? Okay. The other two players I really want to mention were absolutely fantastic in our attacking play. Were the two fullbacks?
Is that the fullback that got the assist?
The two starting fullbacks of Barley Mumber and Brendan Galloway, because yes, although look, compared to was when I actually got the assist, Galloway also put in a lot of very good crosses that perhaps nobody quite got on the end of, or certainly, I say a lot, it probably only about 2 or 3, but
Galloway should morally have an assist.
Yes. So yes, exactly. Exactly.
Just Galloway Hardy has tried to put that in the back of the net.
Yes.
Failed and Gibson's in.
That's
Have
what that is.
they given it to Hardy? In a sense.
I don't know.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so-
Have they really?
yes.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, he changed the trajectory of the ball, so it is an assist. Technically, it is an assist, whether it's intentional or not. He is the one.
It's not the finest of his career, but he'll take it.
Yeah, sure. But yes, Galloway can create that goal, and Mumba as well. I think Mumba is. I think you probably all said many times that a back 4 is not ideal for him. He wants to be a wing back in front of a back 3. But yes, if you must be in a back 4, I think having him in his right back role, he's getting up and down the line naturally, probably seems to be a bit better than inverting. Not that he can't invert; he has had some good moments inverting, but with us using the wide areas more, it does ask a lot of your fullbacks to get up and down the line. And I think they both rose to the occasion magnificently. Galloway and Mumba. The only concern now is Brendan Galloway appears to possibly be injured again, and for all the fact that it was a very good cross, I am concerned at the prospect, quite frankly, of having played Van Lobet for any great length of time. If I'm brutally honest, I think his defending leaves an awful lot to be desired. But very close to the third.
There is something quite aesthetically pleasing about Brendan Galloway striding over the halfway line. And there was a moment yesterday where he went in for a tackle. He basically had no right to win. Very similar to Lewis Gibson against, was it Luton, the triple tackling, mate? And he won that ball, and he managed to win it in such a way that the ball then followed him upfield, that he could put, I think that was probably one of, I don't know if he actually ended up crossing it or whether or not he squared it, but I just think we look a different team with Galloway back there. I know it's strange given I've slagged off the defence, but I just think him on the left, Mumba on the right, I think we said this last week, didn't we? Those two on those sides of the defence, that back line just looks a little bit more comfortable. It's still leaking goals, but it does look a lot more cohesive.
But can I just point out that in those last 2 games, 79 minutes, yes, whilst we've conceded 5 goals, which sounds bad, it has only been 1 from open play. So
yeah, and also I think it is. Those are quantities of goals that are totally in keeping with what those teams do against any other side of them. United win 1 or 2 at home. Borough are very, very free scoring on the road, and they were very clinical yesterday. You have to say,
exactly. No, we didn't at all. I completely agree. I completely agree. And ultimately, what else am I going to say? Obviously, set piece defending is still a thing. That's not that set piece from count, but I would say. I'd certainly hope it's an easier problem to isolate than when it's contained to a situation, because when you concede a lot of goals from open play, you look at the defence, you look at the midfield protection, maybe when it's a goal from the corner, it's something as simple as just, the whole setup can be great, but it could just be one man's not picked up their runner, one man's not executing what they want to do quite right. It is like being a team that structurally cannot defend. That being said, although we're talking about how much in theory it's easier to fix and in theory it's easier to isolate, we still haven't yet actually done it. So we should probably put some work in on that. Like I say, we are seeing a feeling effect. We are seeing a fantastic feeling effect based on, like I think, 2 very good performances that we all have seen in these last 2 games. But if there's room in the budget for 1 more coach, please, goodness, find a set piece coach. Because I don't know who's doing it at the moment, and I'm not, I'm sure they I'm sure whichever of our coaches is on set pieces is a skilled coach in other regards, but I don't know quite what's going on with set pieces, whether it's the way it's being directed, whether it's the way it's being implemented, whether we're just maybe even choosing not to pay that much time on it. Maybe we're just having more time on the patterns of play and not really focusing
The
on
and
set
Poster
pieces.
Coughlin effect.
Yeah, sure.
Refusing to coach defensive goal.
Maybe it's that, I don't know, but our set pieces in a defensive sense are not good. I do think our set pieces in attacking sets have got better in the last few weeks. We have now scored 2 goals indirectly from corners. Not, it's been the second phase of the balls when I come back in, but obviously the goal, obviously the first goal yesterday was about 30 seconds or so after a corner, and there was another one recently, was there not? Was it the Swansea goal? Yeah. So, and I think we're just generally looking a little bit more threatening. I think Randall's corner execution has got a bit better, just in terms of the where the balls land. I think that was a bit of a weak area for him earlier in the season. I think that has got better in recent weeks. So maybe we will one day finally score directly from a corner in the Championship, which we surely haven't done since about 2009. I think we've had 3 goals indirectly.
By direct, you mean no touches until the ball goes into the back of the net?
What's something on
Okay, so
Because the Whittaker one, yeah, or is it just the ball going in from the corner flag? The Whittaker one at Swansea is, in my opinion, a goal from corner. Like they don't clear the ball out at all. It's the same phase in play. It's just an excellent quick delivery into the near post, a bit of interchange and bang into the net. I think
Dan
that
Sky
counts.
got against Norwich last season.
No,
Free
free
kick.
kick.
it was a set piece, but not a corner. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'll allow you that one, John. That's the most, but that's the most. I would say, the most direct.
Who was the coach then? Maybe we could get them in to set piece coach. They're scouts enough. Anyway, John.
Yes.
Just like the jolly fat man who lives in the North Pole, you've created yourself a little naughty list, and Middlesbrough fans top that list.
You come to me. Joe was the one who tweeted about this.
Well, okay.
I disagree.
The question's still coming to you then.
I mean, I didn't. To be clear to Middlesbrough fans watching, and I'm sure this part of this will be conveniently split out when I thought, fair play to them for making such a long journey down. The ones a couple I saw in and around the game were friendly enough, although the fellow I spoke to in the pub beforehand thought they were going to win the game 4-0, which I did tell him it would be a harder game for them than that, and I'm very glad that I was proven right, because that has not always been the case this season. But yeah, no, I thought the booing Ryan Hardy as he was wheeled off on a stretcher was disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful behaviour. I think that went above and beyond what football fans normally do. I can understand when he initially sort of appeared to be hobbling over to the touchline and appeared to go down in such a way as to not go off the pitch, which seems to be their fans beating it, right? Because he was so close to the touchline, he should have gone off. Yeah, I understand that is gamesmanship when players, who don't have a particularly serious injury do that. It's very frustrating. Obviously, the referee's gone over that, and it's very clear that Ryan Hardy is really, really seriously injured. Something is, it's gone from being a situation where he's able to sort of hobble over to being wheeled off. It's clearly a serious injury, it's clearly in a lot of pain. I really like to think that I've been assured on the other foot moment we'd be applauding their players. They go down the tunnel past the away fans, or the bulk of our fans would do that. So yeah, I thought that was not on.
Let's be fair. Ryan Hardy, he didn't help himself in that situation by, as John says, hobbling so close to the touchline. But it is abundantly clear that once the referee went over to check on the situation and explained it to the Middlesbrough players, who looked quite upset, and look, I get it. They think we're wasting time at a pressure period of the game. But when you hear
on top at that time,
but when you hear Wayne Rooney's comments after the game and says they first feared it went through the tendon, his badly gashed knee, that clearly shows that it wasn't just a graze. Like, this was a serious wound. And Rooney said it himself that, even Hardy walking right now is not good for his stitches. Like, it's obviously in a really awkward place. So they've obviously sought medical advice. They've told the referee that. And the only way to get Hardy off the pitch was obviously on the stretcher. Now, of course, it's unfortunate. And the ironic thing is calling him a soft southern what.
So, yeah.
When the blokes from Scotland and even further north than them. But I just thought it was bad form from a fan base who, as John said, made a fantastic effort to come down here yesterday at the time of year. I just think they might look back on that a little bit poorly.
Adam, question that I've stolen from Twitter that it wasn't directed to us, but Pilgrim Beatty was talking about.
Is that plagiarism?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh.
Hardy and Obafemi, if they are out for the Christmas period, leaving just Andre Gray there, who do we play as a makeshift striker?
Victor Polson.
Yeah, Victor Paulson. There's only one answer to that.
Yeah, Vic Palston is going to be on fire, I hear, and play Frank Lampard off the park. Is that right?
To be fair, if we get to commentary and Victor Paulson starting up top, I'm not even turning around. I'm staying to watch that because that would be close.
Absolute vibes. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a bit annoying because I've spoken at length recently about how our striker situation is so improved from where we were this time last year, and then suddenly we've got two strikers going off injured in the same game again, just as happened against Rotherham. So our luck for centre forward is not great. I will cut Gray a little bit of slack. If he's our only fit striker, I admit that in this system, Hardy would be better, and I prefer to see him play. But I think Gray's done enough to give me confidence, certainly more than some free agent strikers in the past, like Billy Clark, Kieran Agard would be if we had to rely on them for the Christmas period. I mean,
Daniel Nardi Allen.
oh wow.
Kieran
low, actually.
Kieran Agard famously has never scored. Kieran Agard famously has never scored a decisive goal for us in a game called Christmas. So.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
so
first win of a certain manager.
I agree. Perhaps for a little more. And also with Gray with his goals, which obviously generally all been excellent finishes. He also got the assist for the one goal we scored up at Norwich. So he kept up that link up with Budden as well. I'm disappointed that it doesn't look like we're going to have Hardy one Femi available. I'm not as disappointed as I would have been 12 months ago when I realised, well, put it this way, maybe a controversial thought in some circles, but I think Andre Gray's a little better than Ben Wayne. So
What's our right with regard to recalling Wayne?
So it absolutely cannot be done outside the transfer window, or the transfer window is now coming up. Essentially, it will come down to the wording of the agreement, like whether we have like an automatic right of recall. If that's not in the agreement,
Usually is, though.
which it usually
The
is,
football league does it usually.
which, yeah, if that's not in the agreement, then we would presumably have to essentially pay some sort of compensation to break the loan agreement. But honestly, I think it's an academic discussion because for one, if we're in, it can only be done in January anyway, and if we're in January, then we can then sign a striker. And honestly, I don't think Mansfield are going to be fighting tooth and nail to keep him. He's not really getting in their team very much, and he's only scored.
The fans like him, though.
They certainly did in the first few weeks, but I think he's.
is this the way that our fans like him as well, in the sense that he tries?
They want to.
Yeah, I think it is possibly a bit. Look, I think the first few weeks he was there. He genuinely did quite well. He got a goal and an assist in his first few games, and he was playing quite brightly. But I think he's perhaps not been so good the last month or two, and he's like now he's not really getting in their team very much, barring the odd sort of 10 minutes at the end, like we used him. So. Yeah, I'll be honest. I think we've seen the last of him in an Argyle shirt. I think he is out of contract at the end of the season. I think him and Saxon early, we've probably both seen the last of him in an Argyle shirt. If I'm honest, neither of them are getting a great deal of minutes in League One. So, and like I said, they can only be recalled in January. And when we get as far as January, just must try and sign another player.
So it will be great. This way. Of course, there is the other option, as Schumacher did last season, of putting Mustafa Bundu there.
No.
Hey, no, it's an option.
And it's a strong no from me, purely because when he's performing so well on the right and he's getting his goals from the right,
I agree.
why would you mix it?
I'm not saying no to it, but if you're down to absolutely zero strikers and Mustafa Bundu is available,
You also got
you've
Sissoko
got
to come
that
back.
decision to make. Yeah. So
Which
there's-
to come back at some point. I mean, is it?
I feel then we would be rushing those two back to cover Bundu being used somewhere else. I just
Stephen Flynn.
Well, you mentioned Finn, that surprised me a little bit. He's clearly the apple of his eye at the moment, isn't he? You know, Tegan Finn's obviously shining in training. He's obviously impressed him in Spain. He said we're going to have to get inventive, didn't he? Which, you know, should have that much by.
Thing invented.
I'm not sure what Norris Vitis is doing at the moment, but I do wonder whether, you know, we joked about Victor Polson. I do wonder whether it's going to be something. I do wonder whether it's going to be something obscure as somebody you really wouldn't expect to play that actually playing that.
Well, I've had links with Luke Condon as well, who has played as a false nine for us in the past. So the creative options are on the way.
Very true. We'll go on to Candle in a bit. Can I just check with the production staff that we're still recording?
Still recording, still going strong.
Good. We don't want to cut it there and do another one just in case.
No, it's all good.
Okay, fine. On your heads be it. Where were we? Quick ref watch?
I'm not sure it's going to be quick.
Well, make it quick. Please.
From very early on, I think you could tell that we weren't going to be on the right end of several decisions. I think he set his stall out very early in the game, and it's summed up with a couple of moments, really. First of all, I thought one of the linesmen down in front of me on the Mayflower side appeared to be guessing for various points of the game on both ways. And then there's the quite ridiculous situation in the first half where we denied an absolute stonewall penalty. I put it up on my Twitter for people to see. There's no argument. George Edmondson, who we joked before trying to go live and now pre-recording, is one of the most clumsy defenders out there, particularly against Mustafa Bundu, it seems. Because
he's going to be having nightmares about Mustafa Bundu over the Christmas period.
He should have been sent off last year at Portman Road if there was a competent referee taking charge of that game, and there clearly wasn't. And in this situation here, it's just stonewall penalty.
We should just say to people listening who maybe don't have the encyclopedic memories of some people on this panel that this was when Bundu ran through in the Ipswich away game. We were 1-0 up at the time. He had a clear run in their half, through on goal. Outpaced Edmondson, who slid in from behind, scythed him down, did not take a scintilla of the ball. Some people have argued it was a penalty, by the way, as well. It was right in the edge of the box, so that could have gone either way, but it is the most stonewall red card you will ever see, and it was not given by a certain match official. Who will not be named.
No, and certainly
Was that the game in which you tweeted?
No.
And certainly will not be. Said match official would certainly not get a warm reception if he was to reappear at home park this season. But yeah, I mean, it's just a stonewall penalty. And, I think at that point we were 0-0 or we'd just gone 1-0 up. I think we were in. It was 0-0. Right, we were just beginning our dominance, weren't we? Randall was getting on the ball, as Sam mentions. Al Hadj was getting on the ball a little bit more. We were starting to get on top of the game. But the home park crowd was up. And yeah, it should just have been a penalty. Second half, there's a couple of incidents in the Darko JB's checked just outside their area. I think it's a foul. I don't think it's a penalty or anything. So I think it's too subjective whether it's in or out. The one on Mumba, I think, is a bit soft. I think Barley just feels the contact goes down. But the incident that shows me just how out of touch the referee was on the game yesterday is Darko Jamie runs into the crowd, hugs the supporters, which is technically going into the crowd, which should be a yellow card, then reveals an undershirt underneath his top, which is also a yellow card, and managed to get away scot-free without punishment.
You're so happy though. Come on, I mean, it's
great. Can I make like a really random observation about that, which I actually liked, was how much how much Randall was going into a leadership role. Because you could see that although whereas everyone was congratulating Jamie, he was like, "Come on, put your shirt back on." But he was really trying to get him to not get yellow, which I love from a player who has aspirations of being a future captain.
Even that one, Randall really hates Christmas.
Really hates Jesus.
And the other point, I don't know what the lads around the table thought.
the same thing.
I thought, because it's now you get different referees, you get different things about how many substitutions are made and how much time's added on, etc. And I know a lot happened in that second half. So I thought 9 minutes was ridiculous.
Well, I thought 9 minutes was correct, but it's just an issue of consistency, isn't it? This directive from last year, when they're actually going to add on a lot of time. It hasn't gone completely out to window.
Well, I'm not sure Hardy was down for that long.
I think he was down for quite a long time. There were 5 goals in that half. I think 9 minutes is fine. I don't think
there were 5 goals in that second half. A lot of subs, including one for a long injury. I think that's about it.
But then why are we not on a weekly basis implementing 30-second rules for goals and substitutions?
Why on a weekly basis are we not seeing 5 goals in the second half?
Well, there is that as well.
We are.
More or less. And I just want to make a quick point before we come off Ref Watch. It's not about the referee, it's just something else. Tangent. So yeah, I just thought it was a very poor performance, frankly, by the referee and the whole officials as a team. It's a gentleman who doesn't normally get championship games, and I'd be interested to see if he gets another one anytime soon. My tangential point is, and it involves the referee actually, it's the coin toss at the start of the game. I am still amazed that no team has turned us around at the kickoff.
Yeah, to be fair.
Like, we always score second half attacking the Devonport end. What was the last game that we didn't score attacking the Devonport end? Are we actually going back as far as Stoke, the 1-0 defeat?
Yeah.
Because
I don't
every
think
time...
we scored at any end that day. So.
No,
Yeah, you're right. It would be.
but yeah, no. Every game we are scoring at the Devonport end at the moment.
Cheltenham in the club as well scored all three of the
That's
balls.
true, yes.
They turned us around. They were the only team that did. Yeah.
But the point stands that second half attacking the Devonport end right now there is, and it was most way through last season as well. A lot of our goals came at that end. And I just don't understand how an opposition captain can't win the toss and say, actually, we can have the ball. We'll.
The flip side of the coin here, pun very much intended, is that Borough scored all three of their goals in front of their fans.
Yes, true. But you know what though? I think as much as the last season and a half in some ways it's not been an incredibly enjoyable time to be an Argyle fan.
That's right. That's not my next question.
Well, no, I was like, has there ever been a season and a half with like so many last-minute decisive goals in stoppage time as we've had?
I mean, you would know.
I don't think that. I don't think there has. I mean, like this season alone, we've had 2 last-minute winners and 2 last-minute equalisers. Quite aside from the Obafemi winner within the last 10 minutes. Quite aside from the Luton third seeding game in stoppage time. And obviously, last season we had the Stoke winner, the Rotherham winner.
But I thought it was all down to Elliot's turn.
Yeah, well, so we would claim.
Surely this must be the highest number of 3-all draws at home park in such a
Yeah, that's right.
Right,
yeah.
In a sort of 14-month span, we're having to have 4 3-all draws.
We've already had 2 this season, haven't we? Preston and.
Yes, there's 5 3-all draws. Yeah, because we had Middlesbrough last season, Birmingham, Watford, Preston, and this. That's 5 3-all draws at home park. It's been promoted back to the Championship.
You're not in
partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah,
Home Park's the place to
5
be.
3-all draws is mad.
It's no coincidence on that point with the amount of goals and action that happens at home park. It is no coincidence whatsoever that all of our Sky Plus games, bar Stoke away on the 4th of January, are at home park. Sky love home park because they're guaranteed entertainment.
Sky love Wayne Rooney. Anyway,
there was no guarantee he was going
I'm
to.
surprised yesterday's game wasn't on Sky actually because of the Rooney Carrick factor, which was clearly enough
I
to
hope
bring
you-
ITV down.
I hope Hugh Rosencroft enjoyed his afternoon.
I think that was probably partly the fact we would you get on their rota, right, of being the host club. But
I think Hugh Wozencroft actually enjoyed talking to me before the game more.
Is that going to appear on our TikTok?
No.
how was your match day experience?
It was good.
Darren?
Did your mascot have fun ferrying you around? or-
Yeah. My nephew was a mascot for the day and refused to take a photo of me with Adam Randall's shirt because he said it's his day. Not
Quite right.
mine.
And that's correct.
Yeah. Well, it's really.
He could have taken 10 seconds doing
He
that.
could have. You're
Could have taken the time out it's taken me to knock you out, yeah.
We know how much this guy loves Adam Randall.
Exactly. Adam, good on you as the conversation. You can see you can't get a word in edgeways over these 3. Bottom of the table for Christmas. 16 of the last 20 teams at the bottom went down. Have the last 2 games given us enough confidence to think we can actually stay up, or is that
Well, yes. Because I don't think you've ever seen a team go bottom of the league with quite as much positivity as we just have. I think it's exactly the same conversation that we were having a week ago. In that how we view this performance and how we view this point is probably going to depend on how we play for the next fortnight, for the next 3 weeks.
If we can play Frank Lampard off the park.
If Victor Pals can play Frank Lampard off the park, we should be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's easy to sit here and say if we play like that, we will beat Oxford because we would. It's easy to say if we play like that, we'll beat Bristol City because we would. But we know that this game, particularly the way that we're playing before the Sheffield United way, we know that it's never that simple, and we know that each game will throw up its individual quirks or quandaries for the coaching team to work out. And I did like the unchanged line. Yes, it's not going to work every time. There are going to be times we're going to have to evolve that style. So
Especially over Christmas. With
5 games in 16 days between Coventry and Brentford, 4 of which are on the road.
yeah, so there's going to be a lot to be done. Can we play like that every week? Is ultimately the question. I think it relates, to Joe's point on JB. It should probably relate to the entire team program, but that is a benchmark now. That is the standard that you need to meet every time you play.
It's all the standards, guys.
Because it's just who we are, mate. And I think
I wasn't doing him actually.
That was Arteta in the Arsenal documentary.
Okay,
Yeah, he stand up.
I
I wouldn't say that the other.
I've mixed up my North Londons, but hey, that was the best one. So yeah, if we can hit those standards every week, we will be fine. I will absolutely say that now. We play like that, particularly particularly with the players to come back and the players that will undoubtedly look to bring in January. If we can put that standard of performance in every time we step out onto the field, we're going to avoid relegation quite comfortably. The problem is obviously, can we? The Sheffield United game brings encouragement, and there was the conversation of how we view this performance is going to depend on how we play. If we can keep that up, yesterday's performance is another feather in the cap because we played that well. I think we played even better. So if we can keep on that trajectory, we're going to be absolutely fine. Are we going to keep on that trajectory? I mean,
Also, we're not.
who knows?
Are we bottom on points per game?
No, yeah, we're bottom on pure points. In the actual, yeah, but no, in terms of points per game, we've got, I think, 2 games to hand over Hull, so I don't actually think we are.
There's a little bit of an asterisk by it. It's so tight down there. Yeah, we're bottom.
But the whole bottom 3 on 18 points and Hull on 19. Am I right saying like something along those lines? So
It's not like we're in the position Sheffield Wednesday were in last year when
We're certainly nowhere near being cut adrift.
before they won the league.
So it's very different to I imagine the 16 of those 20 examples. I mean, I imagine a fair few of those have been at least 3 points adrift at this point. We absolutely are. So I think if you ask me right now, are we going to stay up? I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see a route to us doing so, which I couldn't, to be honest, a fortnight ago. I thought after that Swansea game, we're probably going to be dead and buried quite soon. So it's encouraging. But yeah, there's a lot of questions still to be answered.
At the time when that Oxford game was cancelled, I was delighted because it gave us a chance. Whereas now, I feel like if we played like we had the last 2, we'd have won that. But oh well.
Equally,
But that was pre-Swansea as well, was it? So wouldn't we have played that well?
Yeah, I think
if we lost that, it would have been a big spiral. I think in terms of how that was the one game in this recent run where you're like you absolutely have to win that game.
Yeah.
And I think if we hadn't, if we'd drawn and played okay, we might have gone well. We were unlucky or whatever. But if we lost that game, I think the negativity and the level of panic would have spiraled out.
Well, one word answer then. Do we stay up?
no.
Just.
Yes.
No.
No. You just said yes.
I said I'd like to think so.
That's more than one word.
To give my
Very
very
good all those in.
to give my very slightly longer answer.
Oh, sure.
It's basically to agree with Aaron's, with Aaron's, your Aaron, with Adams. A bit of a heavy night, apologies.
Sure.
It's basically to agree with Adams, but to add, we have been here before with Fog Storms. That run from Sunderland through to Blackburn, we were very good. Admittedly, not actually quite as good as we have been now, but still very good. And yeah, we then, after the international break, went to Cardiff and lost 5-0. So we have had these Fog Storms before. No, thank you.
Oh, I'm busy to do that more often. That makes you finish your point.
It's kind of ball that they have in the conversational
Yeah.
exercises. Yeah.
We need to do that more often. Quickly, John, before we move on to, because I think we've been on for like over.
We've been on for actually 0 minutes.
We're hitting an hour.
We're hitting
Nearly
an
an
hour.
hour. Nearly an hour.
We still haven't pulled our graphics.
Pull whenever you like. Quickly, any viewers' feedback that you need to mention on yesterday? Quickly.
Yes. 1 second.
I want to see if the hat's big.
Leon from Jesters asked me to say we need points, not performances.
There you go.
So,
Just for you, Leon.
And I just want to say, if any of the many people in Jesters who came up to me and shouted random dates are watching, it really did make my night. Thank you very much. No, thank you.
Nice.
Just for the audio-only listeners, the no thank yous are in response to Aaron waving a tin of quality street under my nose every time.
I think-
Other chocolates are available.
And I'll take one.
Demonstrated.
I think just quickly to expand on that point, obviously, yeah. I mean,
Oh yeah, please do.
it's self-evident that we do need points and performances. It would be nice, of course. But I think really this is getting into a run that's going to define our season now. Like, we're going away to a Coventry team who looked terrible yesterday, losing 4-1 at Portsmouth.
Well, we
Obviously,
looked alright for the first 20 minutes.
as you keep saying.
Like we did in Cardiff.
Can you give them their full name, please?
Frank Lampard's Coventry City. Then we go to Oxford, who, could have a new manager bound possibly under Gary Rowett. Hard to say, but they're in terrible form. Bristol City at home, I think it's going to be a different proposition to Bristol City away, hopefully. I think that's a game we can absolutely win. And then you go to Stoke, who are really not that many points ahead of us, having looked like a sort of low mid-table team that's still just about there, but they could very well get sucked in.
Well, they could well have a new manager bounce by then if rumours are to be believed, or certainly a caretaker manager effect.
The Stephen Schumacher derby, where both fan bases sing Stephen Schumacher's name.
And then you've got, after the cup game, I think you could actually have extended your window, right, to be able Oxford at home on the Tuesday night.
Yeah, so that's 6 games in 19 days.
Yeah. So
with usually like home rounds then as well, isn't it? Which is
with no
18, so 7 in 23, whatever.
So we are making play.
So yeah, 7 games in 23 days.
I'm all worried I'm going to have to dust off the dates.
So with no disrespect intended to any of those clubs apart from Stoke and maybe Oxford, that is a very, very winnable run of games for us. If we come out of those without a pretty decent point haul, I think that's going to be me for Rooney and us looking at relegation. Right, this is the answer to the question. I said yes, and we will say that because I think that either Rooney will turn it around or we'll have time to make a change because the last couple of games have shown that we can mix it with the best teams in this league. We've shown that before this season. We now absolutely have to do it against those sides where we haven't always done particularly well, who are in and around us, or teams that we could realistically chase down. No excuses, basically.
For me, I don't think we can afford to lose 2 of the next 3. I think that's where I'm at. I don't think we can afford to lose 2 of the next 3. I think it becomes very hard. I know we're back to pushing the crisis button injury-wise going into Boxing Day. I just don't think you can, with this time of year when the game's coming thick and fast, to lose 2. If we were to lose the next 2 back-to-back, I think that could genuinely put us in lots of trouble. But very quickly, one word answer, are we staying up?
I would have said no.
I would love that was more than one word. I would love it if we could have Coventry and Oxford at home in the next 2. Agreed.
But you don't play at home on Boxing Day, so...
No.
We always play at home New Year's Day.
Okay. Was it 8 years and about, Stan?
I think it is, yeah. I think there was there not one game we didn't have a New Year's Day game or something, but because it was in the second, I can't really remember.
Hang on, didn't we? No.
Nice.
Yes, that was impressive.
Can't be nice for the audio listeners. You'll breeze back over the others. 2024, quick review of the year. That was our last home game, not our last game. Obviously, we've got commentary. Sam, safe to say it's not been the greatest year in Argyle history. How do you assess the year as a whole?
It's been one of the I'm going to confiscate all of this paraphernalia in a minute. It's been very distracting, but they call it street staff. It's been a difficult year, I think, to say the very, very least. Yes, to an extent.
I think that might get cut.
Professionalism, come on. To an extent, I think that's a consequence of just being in the championship. This is our zenith historic. This is the level where we do fall off and stop improving. But at the same time, I do feel that some of the decisions we've made have sort of inflicted problems on ourselves. Appointing Ian Foster was clearly the wrong appointment, and although I think that Mr. Phelan is certainly improving at matters, ultimately I am still very far from being convinced that Wayne Rooney was the right appointment. I hope I'm saying that now and it will get clipped up in a few years when he's lifting the playoff trophy final at Wembley, taking us to the Premier League. But we'll see. But I do think that a lot of the decisions we've made have shot ourselves in the foot this year. That being said, big picture, we're still in a better place than we've been as a club since the start of the Ian Holloway era. I think that would be fair to say. We are maybe even better if you look at stuff like the
bottom of the championship.
Well, I think since the start of the Ian Holloway era, we've not been any higher near the bottom of the championship since then, have we? So
we weren't bottom when we stayed up for several years in a row.
Well, you say for several years in a row, but then we only stayed up after Holloway left. We had one full season when we came 21st. And I'd argue that for all the frustration, the club is in the best state now then, because there was back insolvency coming then. And now, for all the legitimate criticisms there are, we're nowhere near going insolvent. We have hopefully got investment coming around the corner. We'll see how long that takes to actually be confirmed. But I do think that the more recent noises that Simon Hallett made were a little bit more in the realm with it being weeks rather than months now before it is confirmed. So we'll see how that goes.
On February the 1st, 2025.
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
investment.
yeah. But look, there's that. You've got the stuff like the potential long-term return on investment from the site that is just a few hundred yards away from where we're sitting. Of course,
It's in that
Brickville.
direction, not over there.
Sorry, you are quite right. I'm not a Devonport local, like Perivale boy now living in Estover. But yes, the Brickfield site. You've got all these. The audio listeners are going to love this. The
I think we'll be able to tell the difference.
Yes, I think it's been a very tough year. Partly just because we're finding it tough to compete at its level. Partly because the decisions we've made have not helped ourselves much in some respects. But there have been some highlights.
John, favourite memory of the year?
I can't remember what I said.
Well,
What did I say?
your memory then.
What did I say when we claimed it? I can't remember what I said now. Was it Hull? Did I claim? I'll take Hull. Final day of the season, I wasn't there. So I'll take that one. No, yeah, I think it's got to be Hull, isn't it? You know, everything was on the line, and although I wasn't there, I'd imagine everybody had a very good day. And it was just written in the script that it was going to be Joe Edwards who was going to produce that moment, and you know, it's obviously gut wrenching for him at the moment that he's out and will be out for another number of weeks to go yet. But I just thought it was a wonderful moment. Several players had great games that day, and yeah, when everything was on the line, when we needed them most last season, they stepped up, and what an achievement! I really don't think you can ever discredit what the achievement was last year with everything that was thrown at us across the course of the season. You know, I'd maintain it. You know, we were a top 12 League One team trying to operate against some bloody big clubs, and you know, we managed to do it on the final day. We're probably going to have to do exactly the same again this year, but I just hope it's in less dramatic circumstances, and I'd rather we did it before the final day. It's Leeds coming down, but
Exactly.
you know, that was a whole team that had a very good season. They were gunning for the playoffs themselves, albeit they needed a lot to fall their way on the final day. I just thought we thoroughly bossed the game, and for a number of players that hopefully, you know, you'll look back in their Argyle careers and say, you know, they played at that whole game rather than anything else they've done, because I just thought we were superb.
I was about to say, Leeds, you know, might be on the beach by the time we play them. They might already be promoted, or you know, conversely, not able to get into the top two, which for any other club would maybe mean they would take their foot off the gas. But I actually think I probably hope that Leeds have something to play for on the final day, just because the odds of them having an enormous show in front of their nervous travelling supporters seem higher to me than if they are just relaxed. And,
I wouldn't like to be anywhere near the Barbican that day with the amount of Leeds fans that will be there if the sun got for both teams.
I bet you will be near the Barbican that day.
No, my mate Alfie's not going to be there, so I won't be coming.
That's what you think.
Yeah. I think he will not mind me saying that when I did briefly speak to Neil Dewsnip in Spain, he said that the games against Leicester and Hull were two of the finest days of his career in football, and yes,
You spoke to John?
I did, yes.
Oh,
And they're certainly two of the finest days I've had as a fan in football as well.
you never mentioned it. You have not.
No.
Just to round off my point at the end there is, Sam mentioned about what Neil Dewsnip said about the Hull game, there's that picture, isn't there, that was taken of Dewsnip and Nance turning to look at each other when the full-time whistle was blown, and Nance you could tell he couldn't believe what they'd actually achieved that afternoon. And Neil Dewsnip almost had a relieved, happy look on his face that it was done. And I just think whenever somebody mentions Hull 1-0 final day of the season, that's the picture that will be sticking in my mind.
John, any moments or memories, goals?
Yeah, well, it's Leicester for me because I
Right.
yeah, I did.
Shotgun.
I missed the whole game, and having been to almost every away game last season, I only went to the Swansea one of the 3 that we've won in the calendar year. So obviously a bad omen when I do turn up. And I'll give the Swansea away game an honourable mention because that was a decent atmosphere that day.
3 away games we won in the calendar year yet. Come on, we got 2
Yeah,
more.
there we are. Yes. So,
Coventry and Oxford.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm not going to Oxford, so I just completely ignored that.
yeah, so that's Leicester at home. I was there, and it's just an unbelievable night. One for the ages. I'm sure I'll tell my kids one day about going to that game. Superb atmosphere under the lights.
I bet they
Kind
can't
of,
wait.
yeah, crackling with nervous energy. The ground, when the Bundu goal went in, there was a huge roar from the stands. What a goal it was as well. Running and embarrassing fast, I think it was.
It was.
Before steering the ball into the bottom corner, and obviously, after that, we have such a long way to go in the game. You think probably they're going to come back into it. It's really big guns on. Jamie Vardy comes on, but we held out, and it was the sort of performance that we
So
sort of
when were the big guns coming on?
very good. The sort of performance where we sort of specialised in under Jusenit when he was our caretaker manager that second time around, of kind of back to the wall, winning 1-0. But that's a type of performance that really has not defined 2024 as a calendar year overall for us, right? That's not the sort of win that we seem to do when we do win games.
Well, Swansea would be the other one under Boston.
Yeah.
That was a very brief 3-day period between Swansea and the Leagues Cup replay where we actually all thought Ian Foster was going to be good. That was a fun time.
Swansea away was excellent for our Twitter interaction after the club. Retweeted us. Thanks. As a player of the year.
Calendar year.
Yeah. Or do you want the easier question?
Give me the easier question, if you don't mind.
Manager or head coach of the year?
Oh, okay. I might switch.
It's genuinely Jusenit, by the way.
It's
Yeah.
it is.
Nance and Juice. Okay.
I think it's more Tuesday and Nance.
Whatever.
I mean, I don't know which one they signed it, whether they're anthem decking their way. Anyway, yes, it is. I know what the guys have said here, that achievement can't be understated. The position we were in after that Bristol City home game at the start of April, when we just lost at home. Ian Foster had to go, and to be honest, had to go a couple of weeks before he eventually did. And that huge game of Rotherham away when we had looked, as we generally do now, pretty awful away from home, but had to beat objectively the worst team in the league. It was a troubling few days in the build-up to that game, which I did not enjoy, and the nervous energy took over. And the fact that we actually went there, okay, we only won by the 1 goal, but then put in a comfortable performance, kind of then set the tone for how we were going to play under both of them. We then had the games that have already been mentioned here. The Leicester game, which budgetary-wise we had absolutely no right to even compete in. To go and win that game was pretty remarkable. Then the whole game as well, which I'd love to say I enjoyed. And the last 20 minutes of that was perhaps the least I've enjoyed football in my entire life, because you don't need me to explain how football works to you. Like, generally when you're winning and you can see the goal, you go to drawing after that. But for that game, it was very much a case of you're winning right now. If you can see the goal, it's doom and you're down. So those few minutes,
It was a lot more relaxed when we were winning and Birmingham still worked with
it was, yeah. As soon as that one went in,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, 1 goal here changes everything. Oh my god! But the fact is, as Joe said in his film, we controlled that game still, in spite of that pressure, with Juice and Nance at the helm. So yeah, hats off. It's comfortably the winner of head coach of the year in that regard, which possibly says a bit more about the others that have been in post.
Did Darren nominate Mike Phelan, or is that too individual?
Well, I will say, I know we had a discussion at length when Rooney was employed, and no doubt we will have more discussions about Wayne Rooney as time goes on. Some of the performances we have put in have obviously been dreadful, but some have been at least better than I expected they would be. And the fact that we have, under him, outplayed some very solid teams at this level, kudos just goes to the we need to do it more often. I think that's very clear, but we've had that discussion as well. So yeah, Rooney come in close. Are we putting Rooney second or third? Because he can't be third because of the joint first of Joseph and Nance, wouldn't he? So yeah, we'll go with that order. But yeah, it's
And then it's fourth Phelan, fifth Simon Island.
yeah, sixth jumped out for Haven. Yeah. So I think
Let's pick Shuttleworth.
Oh, yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't believe answer that question. But yeah, so it's yeah, ultimately the winner of head coach of the year is someone who has spent most of the time not being head coach.
This gives me an incredible flashback of in the end of season awards when Aaron asked the manager of the year and Alex sarcastic said Wayne Rooney for keeping us up, and then we appointed him about a week later.
It does, yeah. I mean, I still blame myself. Quite honestly, somebody must have been watching the stream. Go, oh yes, yeah, you did do a pretty good job.
Manager of the year, Neil Jusnick, was watching.
He must have been. He must have been. Yeah. So please don't take my advice again. No, it's yeah, it's I think as we know, it's been a strange old year, right? For better and worse. The fact that we're coming out of it with our director of football winning our best head coach says an awful lot.
He was also in charge for the 3-3 against Watford on New Year's Day. It was very entertaining.
Well, and the 3-3 against Birmingham.
Yeah, that wasn't this year, though, was it? So
very good point. Very good point.
Well played.
Outdated there by John. Quickly, Sam, got your name. Sorry. We've been on for like an hour and 10, so let's keep these short and sweet. Conor Hurahan. How do we say that?
Hurahane, I think, is the correct pronunciation.
No, I
agree.
That's
like Sam Allardyce.
I did not. Wasn't a lot of confidence on Sky that he told
I thought it was Harahan.
That's right. It's Hurahan. Yeah.
He responded to Hurahan when I was on Talksport with him not that long ago.
I definitely remember there was a big thing on Sky where he was telling the interviewer how to pronounce his name, and it completely wasn't what you expected, but it also clearly wasn't what I remembered. Connor has a fire.
Hardy the former president of Rock.
He stepped up to the assistant head coach at Barnsley. Let's say it can only go up because yesterday they lost 4-0 at home to Leighton Orient. So let's say his career can only improve.
142 games and 16 goals in an Argyle shirt.
Yes.
One of the most underrated Argyle players that I've ever seen, for sure. But that face.
Sam strikes me.
No.
Sam strikes me as the sort of person who groaned when he passed it backwards, when he's trying to maintain possession.
Not at all.
Genuinely me.
John, yeah. No, not at all. I liked Hurricane. Hurricane. I like Connor, and I liked certainly maybe the first season he wasn't quite up to it. His second and third season he really grew into it with ourselves. I was one of the moments to talk. The only reason I'm a little bit hesitant on the underrated thing is I do think that by the end of his third season he was correctly regarded as being one of our best players, and which is why he got through. And I think people were quite rightly gutted when he was sold. So I don't really think he was underrated, because I think by the end he was quite correctly considered a firm fan favourite. I guess he might have been a bit underrated in his second season, which was the year where Fletcher got sacked halfway through and Sheringham kept this up. Because I think in that season, even though we as a team didn't improve, he did improve. And often, the example I would use would be Adam Randall this season. Often, sometimes when a team isn't doing any better than the year before, the individual improvements can get missed. And I think Hurricane's improvement in that second season did get missed. So I think he was a bit underrated for a time, but by and large, he was correctly regarded as being an excellent player for the level that we were in, League Two, and who would almost certainly, I think we all agree, got to play at least League One if not Championship. And in fact, he didn't. He even briefly played Premier League. He perhaps probably wasn't quite up to that level. He didn't play very long, but he played briefly Premier League, and he was excellent in the Championship.
Nice. Joe, moving on to January. What's needed from this window?
What's needed in this window? Well, I mean, we need at least cover at fullback. We need another striker. I do think Andre Gray might leave. I think we need a nasty midfielder. Not somebody who's going to get sent off every week, but somebody who knows the game. And we just probably need to improve the depth and quality a little bit. Are you going to mention the Luke Cundall?
John is in a second.
Okay. As pointed out to me by my friend last night, that story. I mean, what are we going to do with Tajani? Because If we send Tijani back, we get an extra loan
Can't,
ticket. Can we not?
Again, as per the way an answer, it's going to depend on the wording of the agreement.
Well, I thought it was known that his deal was an ironclad season-long loan with the possibility.
Yeah,
of
you're right. Yeah, you're probably right. So basically,
they can't recall him. Presumably, that means we can't sever ourselves without paying.
I guess we would essentially need to pay the compensations for the value of the loan, which would probably be.
I think that.
Yeah,
I think he's definitely staying based on the noises out of the club.
But I think it doesn't necessarily negate that we've got the loan slot available. If we decide we just don't rate him, we want to bring someone else in, we'll just leave him out of the slot. That is an option. I think the 5 loan slots is used as kind of like a. I think at the back half of 2015-16 we had 7.
Right now we need that.
I think really based on his couple of comments he's made, thinks that Tijani is his first choice striker and is desperate for him to come back. Is my.
But yeah, to finish off the point, those are the players we definitely need, or the positions we definitely need, and we just need to try and improve the depth of the quality of the squad. I would expect it's going to be a very busy month for Adam and the transfer centre. I expect it's going to be a very busy month for you or I speaking to other podcast creators, trying to find out about players and talking to other people about our players, because I do think one or two might leave as well.
Can we interview ourselves about Luke Hunt if we sign it?
Yeah, sure. Happy days. But yeah, you're going to ask John about coming up, so I'll let you move on.
Nice, thank you.
Welcome.
Actually, John, I'm going to give you a choice. Luke Cundle or Dino and JB? Which one of those you want to talk about? There's a rumour that we are potentially in for a return for Luke Cundle. Thoughts?
So as you said, we're in for Luke Cundle, or Lucky Cundle, as Sam would call him. A player, of course, that we know very well from him playing for us in the first half of last season.
Joe just said like getting a nasty midfielder in. Does a Max emoji account?
No, I don't think Cundle is what Joe meant by a nasty midfielder.
I was more referring to the Sam Morsey type character that isn't Sam Morsey.
Yeah, please.
Crucially.
Yeah. Although if Sam Morsey did play for us, I'm sure we'd come in.
I would.
I wouldn't. I think it's fair to say.
I would. That means I'm very bad with Randall's legs.
We can intro.
So Condor, obviously we had him in the first half of last season. I think he was generally positive for us, right? Scored a couple of absolutely cracking goals, the one against Palace in the Cup. That's long in the memory, although not so long in the memory of those who thought it was Ben Wayne who scored twice in that game when we were discussing it earlier. Energetic, buzzy player. Obviously, the circumstances of his departure following a certain former manager up the road to the biggest club in the country left a sour taste, I think it's fair to say, in the mouths of certain Argyle fans and possibly others. I think it would be interesting from that point of view to see whether he would be welcomed back or whether there would be a degree of him having to prove himself. Save Sam the bother in his usual opinion on this, which is that Cundle did nothing wrong in leaving.
He was recalled. What's he going to do?
I buy a large degree.
Chain himself to the.
I buy a large.
He could have.
Yeah.
I buy a large degree. I don't know. I think he probably could have stayed if he wanted to. Obviously, he enjoyed working with Schumacher. And to be fair, he went to Stoke, I think, after an indifferent patch of form when they had that upturn.
He was very good against us in the game like that.
He was quite good. Would he be a good signing for us in a different system under a different manager? I mean, I think I certainly would take him. If it was going to be a loan deal, then you'd have to look at what that means for slots and other options. You know, if we were offered a really, really good striker on a loan basis, I'm not sure that I would necessarily prioritise Cundle over that. I think, is Cundle a different enough player to the sort of midfield options that we actually have? Players like JV who are playing quite well at the moment. I don't know. I think he's a slightly different type of player. I guess what he is versatile, right? He's got quite a good box to box sort of engine. If we're going to play as a kind of 3-man midfield around them and the pivot, and we want those two players on either side to be really dynamic, kind of getting the ball, progressing it forward, running up the whole pitch. Don't stop running for 90 minutes. JD and Cundle in the same team would be two very, very dynamic players at performing that particular role. Obviously, then though, you would have to accommodate Al Haj, we actually haven't touched on Al Haj at all today. Just quickly, I thought he was absolutely excellent again yesterday.
Agreed.
And I do not, and the last 2 games have really proven that we just should have played him week after week after week, tolerated the games where he was anonymous. Because look, even for Nazaz, who we think is a brilliant player who we love, has anonymous games, as yesterday showed. He wasn't all that great. I thought, but
apart from when he just like dribbled it out of play under no pressure at all in about the first 5 minutes.
So I think Al Hajj is someone who unlocks defences, and so I would not want to play Condell and JB and Al Hajj in the team. And then, so I guess the question becomes again, is Condell really an upgrade on JB? Is he really a different enough type of player? And so anyway,
but John, if any of those three were to get it, well, Houghton, rather than have Houghton come in, but if JB or Houghton were to get injured, there's nobody of anything like the level. With all respect to Cam Bright, there's nobody on that level who would come in. So, it's a rotation game. You don't want, particularly with the busy schedules we just mentioned, you don't want JB and Al Hajj to have to play every minute of every game. You want somebody who can come in and you can rotate two of the three.
If we can get it done and it fits in with our other business, I'm not opposed to it. I'm also not absolutely madly enthusiastic about it. None of this really for me has anything to do with the circumstances in which he left, just from a footballing point of view. If we could get him on a permanent, but my understanding is that Wolves asked a lot for him in the summer, which is why he didn't get a move to a championship club, because obviously it was considered that evaluation was very high.
Just not worth it.
If other championship clubs weren't willing to meet that, I have a hard time believing that even a few months later, even if they want to cut the price and offload it, that we would be competitive. I also think that he will likely, if he's going to go out on loan, probably go somewhere else, because I think that other championship clubs who are in a better situation to us would probably want him. So I have a hard time maybe seeing it happening. But yeah, again, I can see positives and negatives to the idea of it, and I'm certainly open to it.
It was just noteworthy that we were the club that was named in said rumour by the.
It might be because you said before, I don't know.
Possibly, but
it should be lazy journalism, right?
Maybe, but if it was lazy journalism, we'd have mentioned the last club we paid for. So
unless they're not in for it.
Unless they're not managed by Wayne Rooney.
True.
So yeah, anyway, but as a sort of last question, second to last question, do we test the waters for JB in January? Do we see if Leeds will take him out?
Yeah, this is one of those conversations, because there's a lot made of the fact that Leeds shelled out 5 million for him in the first place, and how that negotiation might go and whether it would be completely out of range. I don't necessarily think that's true, because of a bit of a PSR sort of I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine with Man City, and the fact that it was part of the Calvin Phillips deal that ultimately ended up happening. So I don't think we're going to be in a case of going to Leeds and they're expecting to make a profit on the guy by any stretch of the imagination. So it's one that's worth testing the waters on. Now, I think, as I said, the majority of us think JB had an excellent game yesterday. His consistency is something that I think, again, we're all agreed is something that he could improve on. But what we're absolutely sure of is that there is a player in there. So if we were to sign one on a permanent deal for a reasonable fee, I mean, I'd be all over that, personally. I see no real downside to that. I think, what constitutes a reasonable fee is probably where that discussion is going to be. But if we do have the opportunity for that price, similar to what we did for Number, Whitaker and Al Hajj, that sort of number, if you like, then as I say, I'd be all over it.
I mean, it's really
something.
If you can get JB on a permanent and Cundle on a loan, what's not to like?
You know what? For all I have said about JB that maybe has been enormously positive, I do think this season his average level of performance has been a little bit better than last season, and I do think there is potential there, and he is still a young man. And I think if we could get him for a fee of around $1 million-ish, 1.1, 1.2, whatever, there is potential return on investment there. I just got to wonder, would the pressure of him then being on record signing could come into play?
I think also he is someone who the powers that be at the club beyond the current manager and coaching staff clearly are enormously positive on him, right? I think that there's no question in my mind that Tuesday would like to.
I think he was against it signing more so than the Foster signing, despite the fact that he had worked Foster. He never came back to it.
And he's obviously famously part of the FA setup as well. So.
Of course, of course. That's something how those two do each other. But yeah, I claim the club like him, and yeah, I certainly wouldn't go anything above 1.4-ish for him, because ultimately, I know that's not a huge amount of money at this level, but I still think for all the potential that he at the minute is still not anything more than like a lower end championship player. So you have to think about a little bit like the current squad, particularly when we've got a limited budget. So yeah, if it's six figures or very low seven figures, I'd go for it. Anything higher, and no.
All right, second to last question actually this time. Anybody in particular that you'd like to target? We have a question from, oh, brilliant, Twitter's just refreshed, from David Graham, who says, do we think, given that we have a good relationship with Villa, that Louis Barry might come to us in January?
No way. Not
Nice try,
in your life. Not in your life.
Is there anything that you'd like to see pick up that's realistic?
Put me a bit on the spot there.
I'll think about it. I'll go to Joe. Joe, who goes in January?
Who goes?
Yeah. Or we so fit on the ground that we have to.
I think there's a number of players who are out of contract in the summer that we need to try and see if we can maybe move on a little bit early, if we can get something. I do feel for Jordan Houghton. I think he could do a job. He's very similar to the players that we've let go recently.
He screams Wrexham like players we've let go recently.
That's a rumour, right?
Jordan Houghton is a player who can do a very good job for any of the top 8 in League One, like in my opinion. And that's the level that these players are basically operating at, because I still believe we are probably a top 8, top 10 League One team trying to make away the Championship.
I don't know about that now, not with the new TV deal. And
well, we are bottom of the Championship.
yeah, I think if we were to top in the League One now, we would probably, budget would be short, like at least sort of 5th, 6th best in the league. I think it would be a little bit in the top 10.
Maybe. But that's what these players, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Jordan Houghton could drop down to League One now and get another promotion medal on his CV. I think if he's not going to get game time here, I think it would be wrong to try and just keep him around the building. I think he deserves better than that because he was part of the title-winning team. Ben Wayne, Saxon Early, your guess is as good as mine. I have a feeling actually Saxon Early's going to be recalled and actually kept around the building, personally. Ben Wayne, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think, as I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a number of cuttings and
Sorry.
from the building.
Are you okay?
Got cramp. Sorry, carry on.
I'll carry on talking.
Maybe not with that background noise. That sounds like goodness knows what's going on.
What goes on at the cricket side? No.
Lots of comings and goings, as Aaron groans. There'll be lots of players coming in. There'll be lots of players going out. Realistic. Do you want me to give a realistic signing or not?
Yeah, well,
It saves me thinking of one.
I'll just throw the one in from the summer about Jayden Dans. I just wonder whether that isn't necessarily dead in the water just yet.
Did he go in?
No, he got an injury, so he got back to fitness then.
And you do wonder whether or not they'll just look at our track record in recent years with young players from top end clubs, the likes of Morgan Whittaker, Finn Azaz, etc., etc., and they'll see that that's a decent proving ground for them. So yeah, I'll just chuck Jayden Dans in there, but I do expect it to be varied.
I just want to say that I think the new Joe Wicks fitness video leaves a lot to be desired. It's not good.
Do you want to just check your phone and see what the next question is, or
No, I think that's it. I think.
Well, you said that was the penultimate. That means there's one more now.
No, I asked you the penultimate question, but I asked Joe about who goes.
And Joe answered both. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
fine.
thank you. So, and maybe I should have asked Adam, who is,
transfer guru. He's off for Brazil Romano.
Anything we should be targeting?
Well, I've not got any names off the top of my head, other than the ones we mentioned from the summer. And Dan's is one. Obviously, I think there's going to be conversation about Michael Baden and where that could eventually go. And I do think I can't remember the guy's name, but there was another Swedish centre mid linked, or maybe a bit from the Swedish league. I don't know. But I'd love us to actively buy a central midfielder, because I think we've got free transfers and loans for years and years now in that area of the field. So that could be an option.
Apart from our best player. At the moment.
Yeah, I mean, what fee do we spend on him?
He is the Plymouth stock Pirlo, isn't he?
It's 2 years old, but then
yeah, so I'd like us to spend a fee on for the first time since we bought Adam Randolph from Plymouth stock, apparently. Yeah, so those players are being linked, and I think there's going to be an awful lot more to come. But I, like Joe, wouldn't be surprised if we had similar discussions to play a couple of players that you could regard as the ones that got away in the summer.
Just to quantify very quickly, I don't want Jordan Houghton to go. I'd like to keep Jordan Houghton around the building.
You're less up listening, mate.
I expect him to go.
Oh, I just famously listened. So.
I do think he will go, but I would be disappointed given his treatment over the first half of the season.
I just wonder if, for sure, also, if the way we signed him might happen to him.
Yeah, probably.
When he was released by Norwich, basically, we agreed to pick him up on a free, right? I just wonder if he might be League One bound, if he come down in the summer. I think that might be the case.
Yeah, any Adam Handel-based pantomime stories you want to mention?
No.
Okay, cool.
I just realised I forgot an absolutely amazing moment of the year, which was the Peter Swan interview on Argyle Breakfast TV.
without doubt, program of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, for those who didn't see this was before the whole game. I think it was the first Argyle breakfast.
Possibly, yeah.
It was one of the first three, but it wasn't the first one.
Okay, but they had Peter Swan on, who played for both Argyle and Hull, and you expected to go along with these things often do, interviews with former players where it's like, oh, a ton of time for Plymouth City has a special place in my heart. And he basically just goes on for 5 or 10 minutes about, first of all, how much he hated his time here, hated the city, and hates the fans. And secondly, it got into some very strange territory about how his house was haunted and he had to go and see a medium.
And the vet killed his dog. That's
Right.
another thing.
Absolutely. It's I don't know if it's still available, probably is on Argyle TV. It's fully worth a watch. It's incredible.
It was fantastic, yeah.
Completely agree. Joe, before we go,
Yes.
a word for Plymouth Cricket Club.
Yes, why not? Yeah, my old stomping ground. This. Promoted back to the Premier Division last year, so they should be commended for that because it's a very tough thing to do. But yeah, thank you to them for allowing us the facility. Shame we didn't go live.
Yeah. Well, we did go live.
We did briefly. But we can try again in the future. But yeah, no, thanks to the club and great to be back. And we'll be back. I will be back plenty of times in the summer. And it is free to get down here for people to watch the level of cricket. And it's a decent level in the Devon Premier Division too. And many, many famous people who play cricket here, including Marnus Labuschagne. Just thought I'd throw that in.
Yeah, nice. Before we go, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Find us on Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all your major podcast platforms. And I think that's everything.
Oh, there.
Oh, and Merry Christmas.
I was going to say, is that all you're going to give our wonderful listeners and viewers? That's all you're going to give them at Christmas?
Yeah.
Last year, we produced those lovely messages to be put out.
So if I have terrible Christmas, I hope everybody has terrible Christmas.
Last Christmas, I gave you Paul Hart.
Have a great Christmas, folks.
And this year you can actually give Paul Hart, but Nick County with. Oh. Anyway, love you, bye.